All right. Yeah. Rap is really going through some real shit this year. There's a lot of stuff going on with Diddy. Um, and now you got, the whole situation with Lil Durk and King Von starting to resurface. If you guys don't know, King Von was Young Durk's homie, and he was killed violently after I guess Von was actually starting the fight. Von had tried to swing on somebody and beat up another Quando Rondo. Just started, trying to fight him, and his bodyguard or his boy slash bodyguard cousin, no, it was his cousin, had came out and just shot King Von, shot him dead, a couple of shots. He's currently doing time, but they trying to, get him out, calling it self defense. And so by him killing, and I'm not sure if this is the same cousin that killed. No, because I think this cousin shot uh, that shot King Von was arrested that night. So it may have been another cousin, but the story goes Quando Rondo was seen somewhere. Maybe he was shopping or just out somewhere out of town, and a couple of guys that knew had spotted him. And supposedly they sent some guys on a plane all the way from Chicago to wherever Quando Rondo and his cousin was, stalked him for a little bit, and caught him somewhere and shot his car up. They didn't kill Rondo. Matter of fact, I don't even think Rondo was hit. He was unscathed. They didn't kill Rondo, but they shot and killed his cousin. And you can see the videotape of Rondo screaming, "No, no!" They killed my cousin. Lil Durk ended up making a song about it, saying something about "No, no, no." Um, well, we're gonna talk about just tuned in what I missed out on. No, well, you didn't miss out on nothing. Actually just got started because we're talking about King Von. And King Von, if you guys don't know, he had that story, crazy story. Hey, how you doing? He had that story. He had that song called "Crazy Story," and it was really popular. As a DJ, I played it a lot. Like the kids liked it, adults liked it. I played it a lot. So he came out with a song called "Crazy Story," and in this story, he really talked really graphically about how he set somebody up. He got the girl to get the drop on the guy, and in order to do that, he told the girl, "You want some shoes, Jimmy Choos." She ain't never had shit, so for some Jimmy Choo shoes or whatever, a little bit of money, she told King Von where the guy was, and then King Von went and handled his business. And he's basically just describing how like the drill life is in Chicago. And these stories were really, really graphic, and people just wondered if he was actually. I wondered like if he was like telling the truth, you know what I'm saying? But like he told these stories really good. One of probably the best rap storytellers, but he was telling these stories because he was actually doing the crimes in a lot of instances. And you think, man, these guys are good guys. They're young and they black and they really coming up, and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but in reality, these guys maybe before they was really in the rap game, but they was trying to change or something like that. But they let led really deep dark past. Even Little Dirk was responsible, they say, for some murders or whatever. Murder for hire is what he's arrested for now. So they're engaged in some type of murders. Let's see what she said. Oh, I hate to take that high Johnny down. I like that. Thank you. I believe it because Chicago is the home of the mafias. Yeah, I mean, rap has always been about telling the stories about your surroundings. But then when you deal with drill rap, what happened with drill rap is it turned into reality. And I blame that a lot on the industry because when you have people like NWA, they was just kind of like telling stories. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't really living that life. Like Ice Cube went to a good school. MC Ren, all them guys, they wasn't in the streets like that. They was just rapping about it, you know, and stuff they heard about and lived and seen. They was rapping about it. But it did cause a lot of deaths and murders and stuff like that by them rapping that way. But drill rap was actually the industry when the millennium started getting older, they was like, we don't like that storytelling where you just making shit up and you not living that life. So the industry wanted something more raw, more grittier. And when Chicago started rapping and all this killing, they flew to that. They stuck to that drill rap because it actually talked about. If you listen to those drill songs, yeah, they hit, so you can bob your head to them and be like, oh yeah, da 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 da. But they actually, from 63rd, they saying gang shit. They saying gang shit and murders and shit from Chicago, you know. So, and I'm a DJ, so I listen to it, and okay. If you see the videos, you ain't gotta listen to the lyrics. Go watch some of their videos. All they doing is got guns in it, and guns and lasers and all in the videos. Everybody got a gun, and everybody got a gun in the video. It ain't funny, but it's true. Like that's how Chief Keef. That's how they came up. Is by doing that. So you have to ask yourself. And a lot of murders happened in Chicago during the height of like the drill era. A lot of murders. So Chief Keef, he's responsible for a lot of this shit. Lil Durk is responsible for a lot of this shit. King Von is responsible for a lot of this shit. Like all of these guys are responsible for this drill movement. And they stars now. So sometimes we look at stars and we'd be like, well, yeah, they nice and stuff like that. But they lit the match for this whole. Y'all know how Chicago was. Yeah. That's all they talk about is drugs. I'm gonna get high off it. They got this thing now that they call, I think it's called crashing out. And what that means, you can basically kill somebody, crash out. But like dude, yesterday he crashed out when he shot somebody, you know, in Peoria. They call that crashing out. I'm gonna crash out. I'm just gonna do something, just wild out. You know what I'm saying? And if I crash out, I could be on drugs, I could be on anything, but fuck it, I'm just gonna crash out. You know what I'm saying? And whatever happened. That's this new generation is scary, man. Like I don't know, just be careful and try not to be around any of these younger youth who want to crash out, because that might not be a good thing. So anyway, we're gonna take a look at this Durk video. Oh, let me put some of this stuff up here that you're saying. Let's see here. She said it's because of the music they listen to. Yep, it is because of the music they listen to. It's very true. And then she said, Roxanne, yes, that's sad. I knew that young man. Yeah, so it really is sad. I mean, you know, it's all about making money and getting kids to do things they shouldn't be doing, you know. Okay, so I got this video here. We're gonna look at and I hope this is the right video, but it's gonna talk about King Von. So check it out.
Goals I got for 2021. All right, damn, I'm trying to, you know, everybody goals go up. So
make sure y'all sharing this. Let your kids watch it and stuff like that. It's gonna show you like the Chicago life and how King Von was living. It blew my mind because I didn't look at these guys like this. I didn't look at Lil Durk like that. You know, because they look like boys, they look like young men. So anyway, check it out.
another notch. I done touch base with like the family shit. Now I'm trying to help the community. Now I'm trying to.
That's King like Von right there.
Little daycares and shit. Just anything to generate money and make the community better. And shit. Now I got a lot of friends. Now my auntie next to the line. Now you see what I'm saying? And then my friends, and you know, I got kids now. You see what I'm saying? So it never stopped. Like they're giving it and helping.
They look like young men. Like
you just gotta keep getting more money. As long as you got money, it ain't gonna be no problem. You see what I'm saying? I just gotta keep having money.
A rapper who is among those who were shot and killed in a gun battle in downtown Atlanta.
A total of 6 people
He was
were
killed in
shot.
Atlanta. He went all the
3
way
have
from
died.
Chicago to Atlanta.
One of them,
and
a
killed.
rapper Davon Bennett, who goes by the stage name King Von.
Called him a demon. I know, look, there go the guns. All in the videos.
The streets of Southside Chicago has been riddled with violence for quite some time now. Throughout all that violence, though, there were diamonds.
Did that look familiar, Roxanne?
Immense.
It looked familiar to me, and I've been to
to
Chicago a few times. It looked familiar to me.
Specifically in a location now known to the world as O Block. The people living there might have known of O Block for quite some time, but the world didn't until Chief Keef, Lil Durk, Fredo Santana, Lil Reese, and
They all
many
from the
more
same
started
area.
to blow up. And
Yep.
as time went on, more and more artists started blowing up from that area. And
Chicago's very
finally
talented.
once again became a big staple in hip hop. And just recently, an artist by the name of King Von has started to blow up from that exact area. Through his unique flows and his insane street storytelling abilities, he was just another superstar from O Block, ready to take off. King Von was born Davon Bennett on August 9th, 1994, and he was born on Parkway Gardens, also known as O Block, located specifically on the 64th Street on King Drive in the south side of Chicago.
It's always
He
Martin
was
Luther
raised
King
in a
Drive.
broken home with divorced parents. He never saw his mom and biological father together. His father ended up serving time in prison, and when he got out is when he officially met his father, but he was only roughly 8 years old, so he doesn't really remember it. Then a couple months later after meeting him, his father was killed. Despite that, King Von ended up
crazy.
getting good grades in school, whether it was through elementary and through middle school. However, around middle school is when King Von says he started getting involved in the street life, because when he got out of school, he was bored and decided to explore the streets with his friends. And around middle school is when he officially met Lil Durk, and they started to hang out as close friends.
Don't nobody really know when they started being bad. That shit was really regular. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just woke up one day, I was bad as hell. I don't know what the fuck happened. I was just getting good A's and B's. I don't know what happened. School, you see what I'm saying? School over here with the nice teaching and nice people all that. All right, so now I'm going off they from that. Since they nice and being, you know, productive and all, I'm doing my work, I'm in school. But now I'm out of school with the people that ain't doing shit, but on the streets, all they know is being loud, mean, bad, you know, selling drugs, doing this, doing that. So now I'm around them, and now I'm, you know, my environment shit, I'm adapted to that shit.
As time went on while being out in the streets, King Von said that he never joined a gang. Instead, he was forced to be in a gang, which would end up being the BD's Black Disciples. And the reason why he says he was forced to be in the gang is because of the environment he grew up in. If you weren't associated with a gang,
That's
you would end
crazy.
up getting beat up every single day and robbed. So you had to be associated with the gang for protection and just for peace of mind.
No, I ain't join one. It's just like, since I'm over here, you see what I'm saying? You is where you at. Like if you would have grew up, if you would have been born where I'm at, you would have had to be gangbang. Just because that's what it is. Or you ain't going outside.
And with that lifestyle, obviously came trouble. And the first time King Von got arrested was when he was a young teenager. He got put into juvenile for allegedly armed robbery of a vehicle. And since he was so young, they gave him the option of boot camp. He took that immediately and got out pretty quickly. While his friend Lil Durk was rising in the music scene and becoming a star, he would end up getting into more trouble. And on November 21st, 2012, King Von was arrested and booked in Cook County Jail for unlawful possession of a firearm. And at this point, King Von says he dropped out of high school, which would be his junior year in high school. And without being in school, he devoted himself to the streets fully.
That's all they
By
know.
the time he hit 19, he caught a huge case that potentially could have gave him life in prison at the age of 19. This was a
That's
shooting that
crazy.
occurred on May 29th in 2014. Then on July 24th, 2000.
Okay, listen to this. He killed somebody, and they was gonna give him life, but for whatever reason, I think it's because somebody didn't show up or they didn't want to testify. He got off, so he started killing. I think what they say, 19 years old. Is that what they said? So his killing spree started at like 19 years old.
2014.
He was, I'm sorry, let me take it back a little bit. He was carrying guns before this. Remember, he got arrested twice already for guns. So he was already infatuated with guns. And he killed somebody at 18, 19.
And becoming a star, he would end up getting into more trouble. And on November 21st, 2012, King Von was arrested and booked in Cook County Jail
That's
for
the second time
unlawful
for a
possession of a
gun.
firearm. And at this point, King Von says he dropped out of high school, which would be his junior year in high school. And without being in school, he devoted himself to the streets fully. And by the time he hit 19, he caught a huge case that potentially could have gave him life in prison at the age of 19. This was a shooting that occurred on May 29th in 2014. Then on July 24th, 2014, he got booked and charged with first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. King Von ended up spending 3.5 years.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me stop. He shot 3 people. That's what dude just said. He shot 3 people. This dude is wild.
Potentially could have gave him life in prison at the age of 19. This was a shooting that occurred on May 29th in 2014.
You remember
Then on
it?
July
Wow.
24th, 2014, he got booked and charged with first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. King Von ended up spending 3.5 years trying to fight this case, and while being in prison, he didn't waste any time being in there. He ended up getting his GED, and on top of that, he ended up writing his own music for the first time ever because he was planning on beating this case, getting out, and focusing on music like Lil
Thank you for
Durk
the
had told him to.
comment.
And then they charged me, the case I just got out for first degree murder and 2 attempt murders. They charged me with that shit. And I beat that. I mean, I'll get you for that shit.
While in prison too, he ended up
It ain't nothing
getting
to him.
a
You see
cell
that?
room with an 80-year-old man, and he would end up taking care of him throughout his whole prison bid. He would push him in his wheelchair. He would remind him to take out his dentures when he went to sleep. And of course, this old guy ended up calling him grandson, and he also got the name grandson because of how he was carrying himself in prison. He was showing respect. He was showing he was a leader in the BD thing.
It be old men like they'll put you in the cell with like 7. They put me in cell like that was that I gotta help him I gotta push him in the wheelchair. They put me in there with a nigga that nah, for real, like I'm in a cell with a nigga that's 80. I gotta take him to lunch. I'm in a joint. I don't even know this man, but he in my cell. I gotta take this man because you gonna leave this old man there. He's stinking, he loud, he got his dentures in, he be chewing his dentures. He supposed to take them out when he go to sleep, so I'm, School, take your dentures out, man. I'm in jail, and he sounds saying, but I'm his grandson, cause
So you dangerous, but you got a hell of a heart.
Man, you know you gotta that shit, though, man. You gotta look out for your people, man. You gotta look out for your people, or look out for you. You see what I'm saying?
After 3.5 years, he finally beat the case due to lack of evidence towards him. He finally got out, and at this
Beat the
point, he
case.
was 23 years old. And with all this time passed,
Like, kill
he
his
saw
own.
that his close friend Lil Durk was a superstar in hip-hop, and he decided that he needed to do something to get income that was legal, so he wanted to get into music. And Lil Durk encouraged that. He flew him out to Atlanta where he could focus solely on the music, and this is when he started officially recording music. It was towards mid 2018.
Like I've been with him his whole journey in jail, and I ain't gonna lie, like he ain't never say nothing about rapping.
How'd y'all meet?
Now we grew up together.
Go together.
So then when he got out, he just tried rapping, and like his first song just like went super crazy.
And one of the first tracks he released was with his homie THF Zoo called Beat That Body. And the reception for that track was great, so he kept recording music in Durk's house, and Durk taught him how to write tracks and eventually he came up with the track Crazy Story. And when he released this track in December of 2018, everyone was going crazy at the crazy storytelling ability of this track, and it was something completely different with multiple flows.
We made Crazy Story in my house. Like, he ain't know how to write a song, none of that shit. So we had put the shit together, and that shit just like took over the streets.
He kept recording music and eventually released Crazy Story Part 2 with Lil Durk and Crazy Story Part 3. And by this time, Lil Durk officially signed him to his label, OTF, and Durk brought King Von to all of his interviews to show him the ropes of how to do things as an artist. King Von also opened up a lot of shows for Lil Durk and performed solo in quite a few cities.
She said, okay, hold on a second. Roxanne said, hey, he's no serial killer. But finish watching it. I hear what you said. Finish watching it. And I'm asking a question. Was he the first rap serial killer? I'm just asking the questions right now, but finish watching the rest of it.
And from this, he got a lot of money. And one of the first things he did when he got $100,000 was go straight back to his old neighborhood in O Block and give back to the people. He was very weary about trying to help his neighborhood, whether it's building daycares for children, trying to give back to his community so it can be a better place. He did that multiple times. It wasn't just one time where he gave $100,000. It was quite a few times. However, King Von would run into more legal trouble, and this time it would be with Lil Durk. On February 5th, 2019, Lil Durk and King Von allegedly shot at somebody in Midtown Atlanta where they robbed someone for $30,000 and more, and this victim was shot and nearly died, and there were cameras there that caught the incident. So on June 2019, Lil Durk and King Von had to turn themselves in.
The rapper, whose real name is Dirk Banks, turned himself in at the Fulton County Jail earlier tonight. Police say he shot a man outside the Midtown Atlanta restaurant back in February.
Then Lil Durk's lawyer immediately worked to get bonds set for Lil Durk and King Von because they had no bond available at that time. The lawyer got to work and got the bond set. Lil Durk was released on June 21st, 2019 on $250,000 bond. Then just a couple days later, King Von was released on a $300,000 bond. Then immediately after that, King Von started focusing on the music once again. And as time went on in 2019, he started to learn how to become an artist, how to conduct interviews, and how to write tracks in full form from hook to verse, hook to verse. Then he finally dropped his debut mixtape on September 20th, 2019, called Grandson Volume 1. And this mixtape was released independently despite being signed to Lil Durk's Only the Family.
Wow.
It was only distributed by Empire Records, and it ended up peaking at number 75 on the Billboard 200 charts and number 37 on the US R&B and hip hop charts. And the reception once again was amazing. He just kept growing his name in the music industry, and as time went on, he started gearing up to drop his second mixtape. The first single he dropped off his second mixtape was called 2 AM on November 16th, 2019, and just a couple weeks later, he dropped the second single, Rollin', on November 29th, 2019. Then on February 21st, 2020, he dropped the third single, Took Her to the O, and this is one of the singles that caught a lot of heat and became one of his biggest records. And this song to date, as of the making of this video, is his highest charting song on the Billboard Hot 100. It peaked at number 47, and on the US R&B and hip hop charts, it peaked at number 14. Then on March 6, 2020, he dropped his second official mixtape called LeVon James, which is a wordplay of his favorite basketball player, LeBron James. And this mixtape, it debuted a lot higher than his first one. It peaked at number 63 on the Billboard 200 and peaked at number 36 on the top R&B and hip hop albums. With the success of the music, King Von was focused heavily on the music, but he still had a couple of beefs going on, whether it was in the streets or in the music industry. The street beef that he had was with his ops, FBG Duck, who was with the GDs, and King Von was with the BDs, who was on the opposite side, so they had a bunch of street beef. FBG Duck was best friends with a kid named Tuka. Tuka was murdered at the age of 15, and rappers that were part of the BDs, which was the ops, would make fun of Tuka's death, saying things like, "We're smoking on that Tuka," and King Von would actually do that in a couple of his tracks, such as All These Guys featuring Lil Durk, And of course, FBG Duck, being best friends with Tuka, did not like that, so King Von ended up inheriting that beef from the streets. FBG Duck even released a diss track towards King Von called I'm from 63rd. King Von would respond by saying it's trash. The other beefs that King Von had were more industry driven. One was with Famous Dex and the other was with 6ix9ine. Despite all this, he kept focused on the music and he was gearing up to finally drop his debut album. The first single he dropped off the album was called All These Hitters, featuring Lil Durk, and this was released on August 5th, 2020. And this track peaked at number 77 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 31 on the US
He had a lot of music
chart. Following this, he dropped the second single off the album called How It Go on August 28th, 2020. Then on October 5th, 2020, he went on Instagram and announced his debut album, Welcome to Old Block, would be released on October 9th, 2020. But when October 9th came, King Von said he had to push the album back
a lot of music.
and instead released the third single off the album called I Am What I Am, featuring 5 Foreign. Then he revealed the album would be released on October 30th, 2020, but before the album came out, he dropped one more single called Galeesh Place on October 23rd. Then finally, on October 30th, 2020, King Von drops his debut album, Welcome to Old Block. The album debuts at number 14 and sold 25,000 copies within its first week. King Von, however, would never get a chance to see the first week numbers of his debut album because on November 6th, 2020, King Von would end up getting killed due to an altercation at an Atlanta hookah lounge. King Von that night was out and about promoting his debut album. He had scheduled an album release party at Atlanta's Opium Club on Thursday, November 5th that night, and everything was going fine. King Von's manager says that after the album release party, they were all scheduled to go back to the hotel and sleep. However, Von's manager says that King Von was off that night for some reason. After the album release party, they all went back to their vehicles and started heading back to the hotel like planned. But King Von's manager says that King Von decided randomly to take a different turn and go to an after-party club. Von hopped in his security bulletproof truck with 2 other people and the driver and randomly decided to go to that after-party club. Once they got there, they realized none of the other people were there, so Von's DJ called and said, "Where are you guys at?" And that's when they realized that Von decided to go into an after-party club and not go back to the hotel. So after King Von's team finally came to the after-party club where King Von was at, they said that King Von was staying in his bulletproof truck for 30 to 35 minutes, not going into the club at all. King Von's friends decided to go back into their vehicles because it was really cold out that night and they were wondering, what is King Von doing? King Von's manager then comes into the passenger side of King Von's security bulletproof truck and asks him, "Why is it taking forever for you to go inside? Let's go." He then says, "Let's go." His security then checks the building inside and out to see if there's a threat. Now, King Von's manager says that they couldn't bring in guns to the club because it's a security risk, so all the security and everyone else who had weapons had to put it back in the vehicle. Von's manager says that one of King Von's friends came to the driver's side of King Von's vehicle and told King Von that Quando Rondo pulled up to the Atlanta after-party club, and he said that Quando Rondo was essentially lacking, meaning he didn't have anyone around him. It was just Quando Rondo and a driver. And Von's manager says that right when King Von heard that, he immediately got out the car and went at Quando Rondo and started fighting him. And everyone at this time was genuinely confused at what was going on. Nobody in each camp was even prepared. Then a white car pulled up and King Von's team had no idea who that white car was affiliated with. Out the car came Lil Tim, which was Quando Rondo's friend. He comes from the backside of King Von and shoots him multiple times. King Von's manager says that Lil Tim let off 5 to 6 shots. 2 of the bullets hit King Von. 1 hit him in the torso, 1 hit him in the thigh. 1 of the bullets hit King Von's manager. And King Von's manager says that King Von was using Quando Rondo as a shield while he was getting shot at. And when this happens, all hell breaks loose even more. The police that were guarding the area that night decided to get involved in the altercation and started shooting randomly at basically everyone there, and that's when everyone started scattering around. People were running back inside the club hoping they wouldn't get hit. And once things settled down, King Von's team went immediately to King Von, got him and put him in the back of their vehicle and drove him to the hospital. Apparently Quando Rondo was yelling out that King Von got shot, so his team heard that and ran towards him to help him out. His team ended up putting him in the back of a vehicle. They drove off to the Grady Hospital in Atlanta, and apparently King Von was conscious the whole time, telling the people in the car to calm down and relax and that he's going to be okay, because everyone in the car was panicking about what just happened. They drove him to the Grady Hospital in Atlanta and immediately started performing surgery on him, but during the surgery process, he didn't make it. When the news officially came out, it was reported that King Von was in critical condition and that he was shot by the Atlanta Police Department. But as time went on, we realized obviously this wasn't the case. In the afternoon of November 6, 2020, it was officially announced that King Von had passed away at the age of 26. It was also reported that someone else had passed away as well, and 4 other people were injured, including King Von's manager and Lil Tim, who was the one who shot King Von. A couple days went on, and Lil Tim was officially charged with the murder of King Von. And as time went on, more security footage came out, and Quando Rondo's team and lawyers are now saying they are practicing self-defense in this incident. And in Georgia, we have a stand your ground law, and that means that if your life is in danger at any moment, you have a right to defend yourself, whether you shoot at them or kill them. After this, there were a lot of rumors as to why Quando Rondo and King Von got into it. There were rumors that it's because NBA Youngboy and King Von were dating the same type of female, but King Von's manager denied that. King Von's manager denied actually a lot of rumors that were going around, and all these are false. They're just claims from media sources that don't have any sources. King Von's manager, however, did say that King Von went on Instagram Live quite a few times and said that he would put hands on Quando Rondo and his team, and he never mentioned that he would use weapons if he ran into them. And of course, after King Von's passing, his album saw a huge uptick in sales the following week. The album ended up rising to number 5 on the Billboard 200 charts and sold 41,000 copies that following week. King Von's family and management company have released a statement about how they're going to move forward with King Von's.
He dropped all those. He dropped all that music, and I'm sure like it was good music because he was steadily getting better. Crazy story, but he had to die in order to get to even top 5. So sometimes you had to be sacrificed, I guess, in the music industry. That's crazy, man. Just listen to that. Let's see what.
Thank you to everyone who has showed their outpouring of love for King Von. You all played a massive role in Von's accomplishments, and by continuing to play his music and sharing your stories about how he has inspired and influenced you all, you're keeping his legacy alive. To celebrate Von's artistry, vision, and the immense love that he had for his fans, we will be continuing his rollout of Welcome to O Block while working to share unreleased music and interviews that he devoted his creativity into completing. Von had also been working on new endeavors that we will be announcing down the line. Love Von's family and team. Von had plans of putting on all the people around him. He was actually going to get most of the people around him signed to a record deal and have them have $50,000 in their pocket. He's gone back to O Block and given back $100,000 quite a few times, and he had plans to open up daycares in O Block and just improve the community over there. I only say that to say this. King Von was often painted by the media as this demon person who didn't care about anyone at all. And days before King Von passed, he did an interview where he explained how upset he was at YouTubers or the media in general that were painting him in such a negative light. Now, I'm not saying King Von was the most perfect human being, but we must remember that King Von is just a product of his environment.
So so we're gonna stop it right there. And I do believe that yes, he is a product of his environment. And like King Von and Lil Durk, like And we don't know everything. It's gonna come out more, but it almost seems like they try to turn around, like I said. But I think it's for a reason, and I'm just guessing to try to get people to see them in a good light. You know what I'm saying? But I want to show y'all another story. Now, this is the story that I was going to show you. My Cheyenne is up. This is the story that I was going to show you, but it talks a little bit more about him being a serial killer. And I'm going to show y'all this video right here. Check it out.
63rd and King Drive when someone started firing.
It's dangerous out here, man. You ain't from here, don't come here. Please don't. It's real.
Let's talk bodies, I got 7.
Let's talk bodies, I got 7.
All in with scatter bomb.
From various murder documents from the Chicago PD labeling King Von as a suspect to numerous murders in the city, to incriminating lyrics and IG lives confessing to the world about his unquenchable thirst to see his ops on 63rd.
It's in his music. It's all in his music.
At the cemetery.
I got a lot of bodies. Just free. How many y'all think? Hey, folks been taking boxing classes all type of out here. Who go? King Von got more bodies than the cemetery.
There is no doubt in anybody's mind that Lil Durk turned a serial killer from 64th and Martin Luther King Drive into a multi-platinum recording artist.
This is not no good dude, I'm telling y'all.
But while all these supposed murders
killer to a rapper
allegedly involved in are well documented,
yeah, it said from a killer to a rapper.
Why this young man from the south side of Chicago derived so much pleasure.
This is the real story here.
On 63rd died. Well, let me try explaining to you. August the 9th, 2011 is King Von's 17th birthday. Instead of being on the block and celebrating his birthday, he's locked up in prison for an armed robbery charge stemming from January the 6th, 2011.
Remember, you got caught with them guns around that age?
Standing in front of a camera and giving post-fight interviews to prison guards after getting into a brawl with inmates in the Cook County Jail that wrapped the gangster disciples.
I'm interviewing Mr. Devon Bennett. Mr. Bennett, can you tell me what the fight was about? Over a card game, okay. At this time, Mr. Bennett, would you like protective custody? No, sir. At this time, do you want to press charges against Mr. Kenneth Lee? No, sir.
Back in the gang-ridden streets of Southside Chicago, a couple of events would transpire, which would inevitably turn a stick-up teenage King Von into a full-fledged killer.
When I heard Von say out his own mouth after they jumped on him, every motherfucker who touched me gonna die.
So, 2 days after Davon Bennett turned 17, on August the 10th, 2011, Wick City gang member O.D. Perry is riding on his bike in the late hours of that night. He would make a stop at the Swisher Sweet store and exit the store a couple of minutes later, get back on his bike and ride northbound on Martin Luther King Drive. And at 11:35 p.m., police reports state that witnesses saw a 17-year-old Rodney Stewart, known as Boss Trail, and a 17-year-old gun-toting female, Jakira Bonds, known as K.I., drive their silver sedan to the 401 block of East 64th Street. They would catch up to a vulnerable and isolated Perry is riding his bike. The run towards him, let off a couple of shots, and O.D. Perry falls off his bike. He gets back up and attempts to run away from the trailing shooters, but unfortunately, he didn't get far as the shooters ran down on him and let off an additional 10 shots and fled the scene westbound, leaving O.D. Perry with multiple guns to his neck, right shoulder, and buttocks as he passed away on the scene. Tuckerville members would run back to 63rd and would bring in Tucker's birthday
6ix9ine was from Chicago. Wow.
After getting revenge for the alleged shooter responsible for Tucker's. FBG Butter revealed on Instagram Live that Tucker's alleged on his birthday.
I'm not talking about Tucker.
Why would you say that? Tucker's killer died the same year on Tucker's birthday. That's a fact.
A 20-year-old O.D. Perry would be left in critical condition and rushed to Stroger Hospital. And regardless of how hard the doctors tried reviving dying O.D. Perry, at 12:18 a.m. on August the 11th, 20-year-old O.D. Perry would succumb to his injuries and would be pronounced dead at Stroger Hospital. Video footage of witnesses gazing at a gunned-down O.D. Perry would surface on the internet, and a photograph of O.D. Perry's bike laid out in the streets after he had been shot would also surface. And as news of O.D. Perry's passing at Stroger Hospital broke, Glory Boy executive Chief Keef would take to Twitter to confess his unwillingness to accept the death of O.D. Perry. And at 3 a.m. that same morning, Lil Durk would pay his respects to the late O.D. Perry and warn his followers about how cruel the gang violence embedded into the streets of Chicago was. And as one side were grieving, the GDs were delighted to hear about the death of O.D. Perry, as King Von's immortal enemy Wooski would shout out Jakira Bonds and FBG Butter for slaying O.D. Perry. And while word on the street would spread about OD's death and how STL were claiming responsibility for his murder,
They telling
people
them
over
themselves
on Gyro City
online.
weren't happy about this.
That's what I don't
and
get.
They would take to social media in an attempt to dispel rumors of Tukerville claiming responsibility for the murder of OD Perry, and instead proudly proclaiming they were the ones who in fact gunned him down. This only goes to show you how much pride and sense of achievement these gang members took in letting the world know they were the ones responsible for murdering a 20-year-old man. But whether Tukerville or Gyro City were the ones who created O-Block, it didn't really matter, because back in the Cook County Jail, all these murders playing out in the streets of Chicago were slowly morphing King Von into a demon. He'd rap on his posthumous release titled Where I'm From about how he was locked up in jail when he heard about OD's passing, and his inability to comprehend how he had gotten killed because he was always armed. And after these two casualties, the bloodshed between 63rd and 64th would bolster, because on October the 18th, 2 months after OD Perry's demise, a witness testified to seeing Lil B, an STL gang member, and an unknown suspect walk through O-Block's right gate and up to the second floor. They would approach the first victim, Ogie, pull out their gun and unload multiple shots towards Ogie as he dropped to the floor, and they stood over him and shot him once in the head. He would fortunately survive this attack.
Damn.
It's the Black Friday
He survived the
sale,
attack.
hosting
That's
AI
crazy.
website builder. Now from only $195 a month.
We're going
Get epic
hold
savings.
on, skip towards this.
I'm looking out the window and I see the same two dudes that I saw that was walking up that I had the feeling about. They was standing over Oogie, letting off shots. I swear 'em.
They would walk past Ogie and spot another O-Block member in platoon, pull out their weapons and fire a barrage of shots, hitting his chest, arm, hip, and a fatal blow to the left side of his head.
We ain't have situations where the ops come on the block and they sending shots at and anything like that. And so, man, seeing Tune like that, man, seeing like, you know, I think they hit him with
They
like
killed 2
exploding
people
tips.
in one night.
So whereas as soon as it hit you, you know, and that was like a grave sight, you know, and
King Von would recount his thought process and what he was going through while locked up when he heard about Platoon's passing.
He was
and
locked
how he
up
felt
at the
like his
time.
fellow O-Block gang members were lacking in personnel to lead them through such a traumatic time, as the murder of OD Perry and Platoon came just 2 months apart.
He say that's our boy J.I. Master. And I'm confused cause J.I. he a leader. How the you go down on us, nigga? Just that we need you now.
On February the 16th, 2012, C Murder's younger brother Sherrod Liggins would step outside a convenience store on 64th and King Drive, and from out of nowhere, a man would run up on him and unload multiple shots, hitting Sherrod's head. He'd stay in critical condition at Stroger Hospital for 4 days.
It makes you wonder if they was trying to get him to do
on
it.
the 20th. Witnesses who gave statements to Chicago PD believed that the GDs from 63rd were responsible for Sherrod's death. The GDs would waste no time in showing their disrespect towards Sherrod, as Jakira Barnes alluded to personally knowing who was responsible for Platoon and Sherrod's passing. Hell, even Mama Duck hopped on Twitter and exchanged words with a member from 600 as she dissed OD and Sherrod. And as Jakira and Mama Duck were dissing the ops, they didn't realize Sherrod's death had given birth to Sherrod's squad, and soon the teenager who was beaten up on the bus would start playing a major role in this beef. And while being in jail and having to hear about all his friends getting gunned down in the streets of Woodlawn and not even having the courtesy to attend the
Turn him
funerals,
into a
King
demon,
Von
that's
would
what he
confess his
said.
ulterior motives to retaliate for the murders of OD Perry, Platoon, and Sherrod on his introspective track Don't Wanna Be Me of his March 2020 album LeVon James, where he details how his plans had changed after he had lost OD Perry, Platoon, and Sherrod, and due to the death of his O-Block affiliates, he'd have to put the plans he had made in prison aside and put his mask on, slide, and gun down his ops. And with 80% of the murders going unsolved in Chicago, this would be the perfect conditions for a looming serial killer to inflict harm on his victims, mark their deaths on Twitter, and later rap about his alleged killings in the years to come. The conviction rate for murders is so bad in impoverished areas like Woodlawn that the aforementioned cases, including those of Tuker, OD Perry, Platoon, and Sherrod, no one, if anybody, was convicted for the murders of these young men, meaning that those responsible would face no repercussions for their actions and would either end up getting gunned down in the streets themselves or would go to jail for completely unrelated charges to the murders they had played a role in. Former Black Disciple driller and 600 gang member Tate Capone would tell 16 Shoreham visuals about how thirsty and determined King Von was to go and gun their ops down in 2012 and how he would constantly be in shootouts.
In 2012, everybody couldn't hang with Von. Like, If you was hanging with Von, you had to accept everything that came with Von. You had to accept that you was gonna be in shootings, accept that it was gonna be that, and you had to be with it. You feel me? With Von.
He tell my week gone. He got on a motherfucking book bag and a little ID around his neck, like he going to. He trying to go nail something early. Bro, Von, get out my face.
And while repeatedly being in shootouts and constantly creeping, trying to catch an op lurking, the Chicago PD would book King Von on a physical battery charge, and he would post a selfie in the back of a cop car. But little did CPD know that the crimes King Von would get himself involved in
That
in the
dude
coming
telling
months
you,
were
no
even more heinous than a battery
conscience.
charge. But before catching what the Chicago PD has documented as King Von's first body, on August the 8th, 2012, King Von was inside a store while his close friend Whitey awaits him outside before somebody rides through on a bicycle and fires 5 shots, killing Whitey. Now, this wasn't anybody from STL, but a member from Jaro City named 50 Shots, who was sentenced to 115 years in prison after Javon Edwards, a member from O Block, snitched on him. And after this tragic incident, King Von's demeanor would change, as he himself claimed on Demon. BDs like Chief Keef and Lil Reese would mourn Whitey's passing.
So anyways, man, Jaro City 50 got sentenced to 115 years for the murder of O Block White. Jaro City 50, he a member of Jaro.
Various O Block members would mourn the loss of Whitey, and King Von would reference the situation on multiple occasions on Twitter, describing how he had bought Whitey a pill and they would later take his life. And he would confess how the slaying of Whitey had turned him into a demon.
If I tell you I love you, I mean it. When Whitey got killed, I seen it. All right, I still can't believe it. She turned me. Hey, that man got killed on my birthday. That was so cool. Ain't that crazy? I just gave this man a pill.
Did he say he just gave him a pill? Man, these boys are wild. We're gonna fast forward through this, but yeah, I'm reading your comments, and you hold on. Let me see. Let me get to your comments here. He said he just gave him a pill. That's crazy. The most distressing aspect is that we are witness the situation as well as the police did, and we did not stop it. They allowed them to engage in violence. This is a serious issue, especially considering the recent black on black murders. Right. They act like they didn't know what was going on in Chicago. They kind of did know a little bit. Maybe they didn't react as well as they could. The boy clearly needed God. He was a demon child. Yes, that is definitely true. He was a demon child. As I said, and then when you see the other video, and that's the thing, you see the other video and you're like, well, you know, he wasn't really like that. You know, he was, no, I'm telling you, him and Little Durk, and I'm not saying that Durk won't get off on these charges, but the stuff that they have on him and Little Durk, I do my research before I jump into these podcasts. The stuff they have on him and Little Durk is bad. Like, it's really bad. That's why the feds were involved. It's really bad.
But like that, it happened, you know?
After losing his close friend Whitey, King Von would fully turn his attention to raging war in the streets of Chicago. And while he'd go through sleepless nights grieving his friend and expressing himself on Twitter, detailing the events that unfolded on the dreadful night.
And see, that's what I'm saying. Like, they do stuff and they jump right on Facebook. It's times where you're going to see where Von killed somebody and jumped right on Instagram and posted about it and tweeted about it. It's like all the cops had to say, well, we don't know what's going on, who's killing who. And all you have to do is go on social media. I mean, really, these guys were bragging about everything they did.
The Whitey lost his life. Jaro City and STL EBT members were celebrating the passing of Whitey. But it wouldn't be long before King Von would catch his first body, because on October the 13th, 2012, at 8:43 p.m., he would post this tweet. Man,
now,
I'm bored.
Watch this.
What's the plan? And that tweet alone would unleash havoc onto the streets of Chicago, because 15 minutes after that tweet, King Von and T-Roy would find themselves on the 6344 block of South Rhodes Avenue, and they had their eyes set on Modell McCambry, who was standing on the porch talking to his cousin Miles Turner, when King Von would emerge and start unloading shots at the two boys, as witnesses claim. Modell and his cousin Miles would be struck by multiple shots, with Modell sustaining injuries to his upper chest, his lower right arm, and his right middle back. After seeing Modell get struck, his cousin Miles Turner would cover Modell and get his body in the crossfire. Miles would be hit in his upper and lower back. Vaughn and T-Roy would flee the scene and head back to Parkway Gardens, while Miles and Modell would be transported to Stroger Hospital and Northwestern Hospital. Miles would fortunately
What's up,
survive
baby
this
doll?
dreadful attack on his life, but his injuries were so severe he would end up paralyzed and would have to
That's
use a
crazy.
wheelchair
Look at
from
that,
that
yo.
day forth. But in Modell's case, he
Yeah.
unfortunately succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased at 10:21 p.m. And as soon as King Von would get back home, he would boldly lay out a question to his ops, asking,
Oh
"Who
my
died?"
God, look at
And a
this.
year and a half following Von's death at the hands of Lil Tim and Quando Rondo in Atlanta, the Chicago PD would release the murder documents of Modell McCambry's fatal shooting.
Everything is time stamped. You see that? Everything is time stamped. This is crazy.
With witnesses positively identifying King Von and T-Roy
Positively
as the shooters
identifying
responsible for the fatal death of Modell and severely wounding Modell's cousin, Miles Turner. And 17 minutes after shooting and killing Modell, he'd flee back to O-Block and tweet who died, knowing very well he fatally shot the young man from 63rd. Jokaira Barnes would be arrested that same day after Modell's death, as the Chicago PD believed she had been driven to Parkway Gardens following Modell getting shot, with her indiscriminately firing shots at the crowd of people standing outside O-Block in an attempt to retaliate for the murder of Modell. And if killing a young man in and of itself wasn't satisfactory enough for Vaughn, 2 days after Modell's passing, vigorously engaged in a disrespectful back and forth with Tuckerville shooter Wooski, where he would tell him he was getting a shirt made for Modell's funeral. And you'd think the pleasure Vaughn took in dissing his victims would fade away after a couple of months, but no. 2 years after Modell's passing, he would tweet again about Modell, reminiscing about what had happened to him and calling him a straight sucker. And while maybe staying low-key and out of sight would have been a smart idea after allegedly murdering a young man who lived a block away from you, you would think King Von would do just that. But that wasn't the case, as he would frequently post himself, T-Roy, and various BDs moving deep in their cars, possibly looking for ops to gun down.
I've been receiving
Right.
checks from
It's-
Charles
it's-
Schwab's on a week.
It is crazy. It is just that. It's crazy. All these murders. And some of them, like I said, they said they was over a female at one time. So it don't be over a lot of stuff. I mean, and it looks like they all got money. They got way more money than I got. If it was me and I had all that money, like you wouldn't find me. I definitely would be in no car screaming out, nah, you wouldn't find me. Like for real, I'd be on the beach somewhere. If I had all that money, I wouldn't be trying to look for no ops. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing, y'all, but I wouldn't. No, this is beyond crazy. Like I'm saying, and I'm showing y'all this because I want y'all to see. This is the lifestyle that they use, and we listen to their music, we turn up to their music, but behind the scenes, this is how they live it, and we promoting it, we sponsoring, you know, their activities. That's crazy.
He'd be seen chilling with a gang load of BDs in Parkway and
Yeah, and Roxanne, you know Chicago. Like Chicago ain't no it's not that place. It's not that place. I mean, in the streets of Chicago where they rapping in that whole drill thing, it's not the place you want to be. You know what I'm saying? It's just bad. It's a lot of violence. It's a lot of violence. There's too many people in Chicago, if you ask me. So anyway, here we go.
at stores with his right-hand man T-Roy, scaring customers while standing in line. These posts would be obviously accompanied by disrespectful tweets letting the world know about his sinister motives to shoot his ops on sight and letting everyone know that he was STLK, or a St. Lawrence killer. Then, on October 29th, 2012, King Von would tweet that his best friend T-Roy was leading in people he had killed and he wasn't trying to hang around him until he had caught up, telling him he'd need at least until Friday. And whether this was a brazen illustration of how King Von sadistically enjoyed murdering the opposing gang members and leaving them slumped in the streets of Chicago, or this was just him being stupid, you decide. But on October the 30th, the next day, it's T-Roy's birthday, and King Von was believed to have been outside, riding, and looking for ops early in the morning, as he tweeted about drilling like OD. And a short while later, he tweeted, check the stats, and whether the world knew it or not, Vaughn and O-Block savage J Money were allegedly on the 6200 block of South Eberhard Avenue, and they would run up on opposing gangster disciple P5, or otherwise known as Craig, shoot him multiple times before fleeing the scene. Jaro City gang member Ross would detail P5's murder and how a woman from Jaro allegedly backdoored P5 and had Vaughn and J Money gun him down.
She really flipped from O-Block from Jaro to O-Block because she's supposed to backdoor crack. Let's talk about it. She had J Money backdoor crack on Fulham Grade. She had backdoor. Had J Money backdoor crack. There was J Money and Vaughn on their head. They backdoor. She got crack backdoored on.
Been out there. And then she knew J Money killed Crack, cause Crack was her best friend. Crack was her best friend. She was the same motherfucker that carried guns in the church at Tutu funeral. The ops. This girl ain't finna play with me. She ain't finna play with me.
And not long after this early morning assassination, King Von would tweet about how his Glock 40 made someone flip 40 times, and hours later, he'd tweet about how the earliest bird catches the worm. He'd tweet that Modell and P5 died in October, and we should stay tuned for who would die next in November. Later tweeting R.I.P. Craig and Modell, which in my opinion may be one of the most egregious shows of disrespect I've seen in this beef.
This dude is out here taunting people like, y'all finna be next. Like, don't turn your back. Y'all finna be next. And I'm wondering if this is when he was with. I know, right. But see, that's the whole thing. Like, it's foreign to us, but that's the life they lead. Like, she's arguing back and forth with this guy. We're not really arguing with him, but trying to make her point as far as what she know, as far as what happened on the streets. Like, she really giving the truth as far as what she know. So you hear it firsthand.
Somebody relate to him or somebody cool with him, you kill him. Now everybody that he was close with is trying to kill you. It's a never ending. Or they gonna let's get somebody close to him.
I'm gonna take it back a little bit because I want to hear what he
Modell
said.
and P5 died in October, and we should stay tuned for who would die next in November. Later tweeting R.I.P. Craig and Modell, which in my opinion may be one of the most egregious shows of disrespect I've seen in this beef.
Somebody relate to him or somebody cool with him, you kill him. Now everybody that he was close with is trying to kill you. It's a never ending. Or they gonna let's get somebody close to him.
Right. So yeah, he is in the music industry. Well, he was doing all of this
dying to make
as he was making music. And like I said, the other story is like a night and day. The other story, you seen him making music, grinding in the studio, and then taking a gun to church. Yeah, that's that girl. One of them girls. That's they made that. I forgot what it's called now. It's gonna slip my mind. But there was a movie that they made, and it was a girl who was shooting. I guess her name was I can't even think. Some girl who was shooting and killing everybody in this series, and that's Snoop. Snoop was the girl name in the series. And this girl in Chicago that was actually killing folks was the girl that was based on. So they knew. Like y'all listen. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna play it like Empire. If you watch, no, not Empire. What is it called? Which one was what's that guy name? I can't think. It wasn't Empire. Was it Empire? It was Empire. The series Empire. Empire, like how he killed, like how dude was killing people, the producer and stuff like that, and the dad and stuff like that, and how he had to do shady shit, but he was on top. That was like, I think that was based on Puffy. How Puffy had to take people out and stuff like that and kill people to remain on top and stuff like that, and how he did as artist a little bit. A lot of that stuff was based on like Puffy and how he, but y'all, people know about this stuff and they make movies, they make money off of it, but they don't. As you can see, like the FBI did not jump in and swoop and stop this murder and killing spree for a minute. They didn't jump in and stop it. They let it go on for a while until they can collect evidence or whatever. But they allow people to get killed. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and finish playing it.
Stop it to everybody, all the people that playing the game. It's gone. You see what I'm saying? So it's the last man standing. It's either you're gonna be in jail, you're gonna die, or you getting lucky around. bitch.
This gang
Mama
banging.
Duck. Yeah, you're right.
I'm trying to make it in real life. That's a tweet by Tocqueville gang member Boss Trail. It seems as if the gang life had taken a toll on him, and word on the street
And
was
Mama
he was
Duck,
planning on moving away from the
she
gang.
she kind of put her nose in it too, cause she put like out a diss before Duck was shot and killed. She was like, as y'all see, she was like putting out diss. She jumped on Twitter and started trying to diss. So like I said, that was this whole Chicago lifestyle or whatever. That's how they do. They do shit and they jump online immediately, and that's how they start their beef. Like a lot of people got killed like that. Like when you hear like, what's your location? Drop your location. That's like where they got that from. Like if somebody beefing, oh, well, drop your location. And they drop their location or whatever, tell where they at, and then they end up dead. That's Chicago lifestyle.
Gang-infested streets of Chicago and get a fresh start at life elsewhere. 2 days before his departure from Chicago, Boss Trail paid his girlfriend a visit on Mary Crest, 7 miles away from 63rd and St. Lawrence. On November the 8th, 2012, T-Roy and King Von would tweet about rolling hard at 1 a.m. in the morning, and at 6 a.m., Boss Trail would have breakfast with his girlfriend. He'd then leave the house to go sell 2 bicycles at a nearby pawn shop, and as he walks past an alley, King Von and T-Roy would allegedly approach and unload multiple shots at Boss Trail, hitting the back of his head. He would be transported to a hospital and would stay in critical condition for hours, fighting for his life. FBG Cash would pay him a visit and post this picture on Twitter, saying he can't let go. And while Boss Trail kept fighting for his life, back on 64th, ops were growing impatient as they were hoping Boss Trail would die. King Von and T-Roy expressed their frustrations on Twitter, tweeting, "Ops
Niggas
were
ain't dying
on
on time. Look at
but
this.
Unfortunately, at 11:45 p.m., Boss Trail would succumb to his injuries. King Von would post this disrespectful tweet after hearing the news of Boss Trail's death.
Well, you ain't boss to me. Y'all, listen. This is no respect for life at all. This dude said niggas ain't dying on time. Like, wow. And you post and you go. Listen, I'm telling y'all. They're not talking about Lil Durk, okay? This isn't about Lil Durk, okay? But you have to understand, this is who Lil Durk signed. Lil Durk knew him. He hung with him. They grew up together. If dude is doing these crimes, where do you think Lil Durk is at in all of this? I was unsure that he was a rising star as he was doing this, but as you clearly see, he was doing interviews. So, you think they got dirt on Little Durk? That was hard to say. You think they got dirt on Little Durk? Dirt on Little Durk? I said it twice. I should have just kept it the first time. It sounded professional. You think they got dirt on Little Durk? Hell yeah.
In critical condition for hours, fighting for his life. FBG Cash would pay him a visit and post this picture on Twitter, saying he can't let go. And while Boss Trail kept fighting for his life, back on 64th, ops were growing impatient as they were hoping Boss Trail would die. King Von and T-Roy expressed their frustrations on Twitter, tweeting, "Ops went dying on time." But unfortunately, at 11:45 p.m., Boss Trail
Hold on,
would
wait.
succumb to his injuries. King
Lon. I hope you said your name, Lon. You said that Chicago is better. My cousin just got killed 2 months ago. They don't know who did it. They killed him and they left his body by some train tracks in Chicago. I mean, whoever did this was severe. I mean, his arm was badly bruised. His leg was badly bruised. I'm telling you, you think of the most savagest beasts. Think of a movie. Think of the most savagest beasts, how they might do a human. And whoever did that, that's how they did my cousin. And this is Chicago, and nobody knows nothing. Things happen in Chicago, and life just goes on. You don't hear about the murders. You don't hear about the shooting all the ways. But Chicago is bad right now. I mean, it's still bad. As long as you have these young men like this right here, and this drill music, it's gonna be bad. That's what they rap about. I'm finna go kill somebody. Listen to what they're telling you. This is 09, but you know, Lil Durk just got arrested. FBG Duck didn't get killed not too long ago, and they pulled up on FBG Duck in high class area of Chicago and gunned them down mafia style. They said they ain't seen that type of slang like that since the mafia days. Capone days. All right, we're gonna take a listen.
Von would post this disrespectful tweet after hearing the news of Postrel's death.
Like he called Trail. Some goofy was on.
No, you're right, Miss Carter. It's not the only place, but here's the combination. It's a place that has great music that influence everybody, not just the kids, the adults. It has great music, so you got a mixture of great music, great talent, worldwide talent that's influencing the world. You know what I'm saying? So you got all that together. The combination of the two, I think, is what makes it so bad and dangerous. Okay.
On my podcast telling me here, boy on God, on OD Soul, Boss Trail is folks' work. Like, stop that. Like,
yeah, very
that was folks'
yes,
work. He
right.
did that before he even went to school.
And so I normally I download videos, but I didn't after this one because I had to get it out there. So, but it's good, so that way I get a chance to talk. And yeah, you're right, Roxanne. You get mad. My youngest go up there by herself and tell us, like, oh yeah, no, I wouldn't. I was gonna go up there because I wanted to go, and people was tripping, and I wanted to go to the little beach thing, and I was gonna go by myself. But I'm so glad that I didn't, because Chicago is a place where something can happen to you and nobody know. And that's the bad part about it. Other places you might have a better chance, but there are so many people in Chicago. Like, we went downtown, and even at night downtown, like right now, downtown at night Chicago is packed. Even though it's kind of cold outside, it's packed right now downtown. It's stores opening. They got cookie stores open. They got everything is open right now downtown Chicago. Subway. Remember how dude said he got jumped in the Subway? That's what he was using Chicago. Everything is open right now. Chicago is packed. It's jumping right now. 1:50 in the morning downtown. So that's what I'm saying. It's cars everywhere. Cars are honking. It's moving. Things are moving. There's a lot of people, and that's, like I said, that's not even the hood. That's just downtown. So there in Chicago, you got all these little street corners that go back, and they go all the way back, and they go back to nowhere, and then it's a dead end. Like, they streets are crazy. Like, you could be trying to rough somebody. If you don't know your way, you might get caught like in a dead end street and be fucked up. Like, that's how Chicago is. It's just too big. It's too big of a place. I love to visit, but to live there, it's too many people. It's too many people. Okay, so and then she said it's very influential, right? And then William said facts. And then, right, I told her I don't care if we do have family up there, she still don't need to be going up there by herself. Nope, because there ain't nothing they're gonna be able to do. There's nothing you're gonna be able to do. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. That's what I'm saying. Chicago's not that place. It's a beautiful place, but it's not that place.
South LaSalle Street to celebrate CJ's birthday, a good friend of Von. They are driven by
Okay, I'm taking it back a little bit because we missed a little bit.
Would die. King Von and T-Roy expressed their frustrations on Twitter, tweeting, "Ops went dying on time." But unfortunately, at 11:45 p.m., Postrel would succumb to his injuries. King Von would post this disrespectful tweet after hearing the news of Postrel's death.
Like he called Trail. Some goofy was on my podcast telling me here, boy on God, on OD Soul, Boss Trail is folks' work. Like, stop that. Like, that was folks' work. He did that before he even went to school.
It's May the 29th, 2014. King Von and Big Mike are on their way to CJ's house on the 5700 block of South LaSalle Street to celebrate CJ's birthday, a good friend of Von. They are driven by Jasmine Michelle and her two-door grey Alero. And once they arrive at the party, Von is standing on the front porch talking to CJ, mugging a man from the opposing gang named Carpenter. Moments later, Malcolm Stuckey walks in, who is a friend to Von's op, Carpenter. And just like that, Von took off. While leaving the party, CJ's mother, Miss Jones, would plead with Von not to start a mess in her house, with Von replying that he wasn't on that type of timing. He lied. Big Mike, Jasma, and King Von would get back into the car and drive to Parkway Gardens to grab some firearms. And after 10 minutes, they would get back into the Alero with Jasmine and head back to the party on 57th and South LaSalle. King Von would make a phone call telling a party goer to take the kids inside. They'd parked the LRO a block away from LaSalle Street, and as Jasmine stayed in the car, Vaughn and Big Mike would cut through an alley behind the house. And as soon as Carpenter and Stuckey saw King Von running towards them, they would start running in the opposite direction. As Vaughn shouted, "Why are you running?" A barrage of shots would be fired towards the man as Big Mike hit one man in the foot and Vaughn hit another man in the face, breaking his jaw. They would run after Malcolm Stuckey and fire multiple shots at him and then flee the scene, running back to that LRO and driving home to Parkway Gardens. The two victims who were hit in the foot and jaw would fortunately survive this incident. But as for Malcolm Stuckey, who would succumb to his injuries at the scene at approximately 6:09 p.m. Because on September the 2nd, 2013, J Money is on 66 South Rhodes Avenue. He's driving a white Hyundai and he's there to meet a woman. Little did he know, trailing behind him is a silver Impala with K.I. and Lil B inside. As J Money gets to his destination, he exits the car, and immediately as he walks to his girl best friend's house, Lil B gets out of the Impala and runs after J Money. J Money reacts quickly and starts running for his life. He attempts to jump over a fence, but unfortunately trips, and as soon as Lil B catches up, he would fire 3 shots to J Money's chest and 1 to his head and flees the scene. K.I. would diss J Money, tweeting that J Money couldn't use his head, so they took it off. Lil Durk paid his respects following the news of J Money's passing, and J Money's baby mama would allude to his girl best friend setting him up because she was in love with one of the GDs from Tuckerville. On April the 8th, 2014, K.I. and Lil B would be seen attending a funeral. That's because a week prior, Lil B had been gunned down by CPD in an alleyway after he had took CPD officers on a foot chase, thinking they were there to arrest him. The incident was justified as self-defense after Lil B was found with a weapon on him, but the community weren't having it. There's even a man standing next to FBG Duck wearing a black hoodie with CPDK printed on it. But unfortunately, FBG Duck and his crew couldn't grieve the loss of Lil B for long because disaster would strike again 3 days later on April the 11th. As K.I., FBG Butter, and a couple of other guys were getting ready to shoot dice on the sidewalk of 65th and Eberhard.
Don't trade alone. Trade with me live.
I mean, and like I said, this is Chicago. This is just they crew, you know. This is just they crew. Not talking about any other stuff that's going on around Chicago. This is wild, y'all. It's wild these kids got
armed
grown
with
like
guns
this.
and chased the Tuckerville members. Vaughn would allegedly fire 3 shots, hitting FBG Butter's knee, a 34-year-old man's foot, and 1 shot hitting Jakira's hip as he yelled,
Vaughn is gun happy.
He would eventually catch up to K.I. as a witness testified to seeing King Von stand over K.I. and fire multiple more shots, hitting K.I.'s front armpit, chest, bicep, left cheek, and left ear.
I see Butter on the phone, sitting on one porch, and K.I. and them and Cray Cray, they was in the gangway shooting dice. They emerged out the cut. I see Butter running. Butter hop over the fence, running. And I grabbed Butter. Butter whole kneecap was blew off, bro.
And did you hear the gunshots and everything going on?
Oh yeah, they sound like something special. They was boom, boom, like the police trying to lock up Duck. They told Duck he responsible for it. They just left K.I. on the ground. So I went over there by K.I. Smoke was coming out her neck, man. It was all sad, bro. I'm standing over telling her to be all right, kneeling down over there. But when she got in the ambulance, she was gone, man.
And then Vaughn walked up to me, and I shook his hand. He like, look straight. Why you telling me to look straight? He like, look straight, and what I'm finna say to you, don't look at me after I tell you. But he literally say just like this, you know, why I just ran up on them and caught K.I. She was the last one running out of the gate.
Witnesses who testified would name Davon Bennett as the responsible shooter, and Chicago PD would arrest him for first-degree murder on April the 29th. King Von would tweet they should never free him, but a couple of weeks later, Chicago PD would have to let him go because they believed they didn't meet the burden of proof required to take King Von to trial. And after he got out, A&E Network would release a full-length documentary detailing the life and death of Jakira Barnes, where they featured the same guy who allegedly took Jakira's life. And after walking out of the Chicago PD's custody for Jakira Barnes'
he killed somebody. They made a documentary because she was like the killer. She was like the shooter. So she was so popular for being the shooter. They made a they praising people who kill people. So she was a shooter. They made a documentary, and Vaughn supposedly is the one that killed her. He confessed to it to somebody else. He went and got in a documentary talking about her. That's how cold-hearted this dude is. We're gonna rewind it so y'all can catch what he just said.
Witnesses would
That's a
testify
cold-hearted
would
killer,
name
y'all.
Davon Bennett as the responsible shooter, and Chicago PD would arrest him for first-degree murder on April the 29th. King Von would tweet they should never free him, but a couple of weeks later, Chicago PD would have to let him go because they believed they didn't meet the burden of proof required to take King Von
He had
to
to
trial.
feel
And after he got
untouchable.
out, A&E Network would release a full-length documentary detailing the life and death of Jakira Barnes, where they featured the same guy who allegedly took Jakira's life.
That's crazy.
And after walking out of the Chicago PD's custody for Jakira Barnes' first-degree murder charge, a slew of tweets from the PDs such as Lil Reese and Boss Top would applaud King Von for drilling KI. King Von himself would express how much he missed Jakira, his eternal hatred for 63rd, and how he's consistently drilling ops. On June the 7th, 2014, King Von would get booked on parole violation and was in the custody of the Illinois Department of Corrections. But on July the 22nd, King Von, along with Big Mike, would be charged with 2 counts of attempted murder and first degree stemming from that incident on LaSalle Street that claimed Malcolm
How did they
Stuckey's
get
life.
out, though?
And as we all now know, he'd be stuck behind prison for 2.5 years, refusing to cooperate with the police in that case. But while he was locked up, back in the grimy streets of Chicago, King Von's best friend, T-Roy, would lose his life. Because on Valentine's Day, February the 14th, 2017, James T-Roy Johnson walked into a store on the 2000 block of East 71st
This was
Street
Seth's
when
barn
Ken
off.
Get Right, TB, and another man approached him, and TB from Taekwon World would unload one shot hitting T-Roy's chest, and they would flee the scene. Surveillance footage for this whole incident was captured by CCTV, and once Northwestern Memorial Hospital pronounced T-Roy as late, a dark cloud of sorrow would engulf Vaughn and the BDs on O Block as Wick City had to come to terms with losing one of their most prolific shooters. And as the news of T-Roy's passing spread around the city, FBG Duck and Wooski would take to IG Live to diss T-Roy and the BDs
Nah,
on
here
O
goes.
Block.
This is what got him
Man, they
involved.
don't talking about what you think about T-Roy getting popped. Damn, T-Roy got popped? When that happened? Damn, somebody popped him. Is he dead? Is he dead? Did he die? Damn, merchant, they popped T-Roy. It must don't be, it must ain't that important. It ain't all over the internet.
Tell
Damn.
T-Roy to watch who he running up on for them grade. My boys don't play no games, boy.
No games. Chat shot.
How many views he got?
Oh, what's up?
382.
And he got, I heard T-Roy had a nice glizzy on the where they got his ass. It's Black Gang.
And after almost a decade of this tit-for-tat killings in the streets and the dissing of dead ops on songs, FBG Duck would drop his disrespectful song, Dead Bitch, where he goes on to diss T-Roy and O.D. Perry, referencing J Money's demise where he was shot in the face and alludes to his desire to piss on D-Thang's grave. And nearly a
Damn.
month after the music video for Dead Bitch dropped, on August the 4th, 2020, THFTZ spots FBG Duck on Oak Street and calls Black Disciples from O Block. Muwab, who had close ties to J Money, hops into the car. C-Murder, Sherrod Liggins' older brother, tags along as well. Duck would repeatedly mention how Sherrod Liggins was probably killed while he was listening to his iPod back in 2014. Zelmona, who was cousins with T-Roy, jumps in as well. C-Thang, Kenny Mac, and Loss would all tag along, and with all the O-Block and 600 members that had lost their lives at the hands of Tuckerville drillers, these gangbangers were on a mission to take out one of the biggest GDs in the city and potentially split $100,000 as compensation for a job well done.
It wasn't a factor to him. They wanted my son gone. They saying he was shot 3 times, Black. He was shot over 20 times. Still trying to get off that ground. Still fighting for his life.
Damn. Yeah, so that's a lady who was,
Hi, I'm
that's
Bert,
FGB
small business
Duck's
insurance
mom.
expert with Byberg.
Like I said,
Byberg isn't a
she got involved in it where she should have, I guess she was riding for her son, but you gotta talk to your son, like, yo, you can't be in that life.
2020.
A little
26
bit more,
minutes
y'all.
before 4 O-Block shooters would jump out with surgical masks and take FBG Duck's life, 2 black men walk into the Montclair store on Oak Street. One subject wore a Yankees cap and the other a red t-shirt. And since they didn't seem all too affluent, the security guard started recording them in the fear that these guys were here to steal some Montclair clothing. Little did he know that the man in the Yankees cap was 33-year-old Ralph Turpin, or better yet, THFTZ. And on this recording that's now with the police, he is seen on a phone call telling somebody that he had just spotted Duck on Oak Street.
So I'ma go and tell y'all, his name is Ralph Turpin, also known as Teezy, THF Teezy. I know him as Foul. He was the one saw my baby downtown, watched him from across the street, and lied and told them when they had a 100K bounty on my son's head.
That one phone call would set everything into motion, and 6 O-Block gang members are seen racing down the stairway in Parkway Gardens. The 6 men were Moowop, C-Murder, Kenny Mac, Los, C-Thang, and 19-year-old
they all look
Zell
like
Miner. The
young
6
men.
men would jump into 2 separate cars, a 2016 Black Fusion where Los is the driver, and a 2013 Chrysler 300 driven by Kenny Mac. And as the members from O-Block ready their guns and put on their COVID masks, as Lil Durk confessed on Still Trapping.
Bro slide with a COVID mask. Last IP over gas. Smoke.
Look.
Get back door.
FBG Duck is still standing in line outside the Dolce & Gabbana store following social distancing
told on himself.
Quay Gardens. The 6 men.
They're gonna use that in court.
C-Murder.
That's what's gonna get him right there.
Los, C-Thang, and 19-year-old Zell Miner. The 6 men would jump into 2 separate cars, a 2016 Black Fusion where Los is the
Either they
driver,
texting
and
about
a
it, they rapping about
2018
it.
Chrysler 300 driven by Kenny Mac. And as the members from O-Block ready their guns and put on their COVID masks, as Lil Durk confessed on Still Trapping.
Bro slide with a COVID mask. Last IP over gas. Smoke. Get back door.
FBG Duck is still standing in line outside the Dolce & Gabbana store following social distancing protocol and patiently waiting his turn to buy his son a birthday gift.
And that's how he ended up in front of Dolce and got out, and he was following the rules of the social distance. He was standing outside.
And at 4:25 p.m., 2 cars would come to a halt on Oak Street. Zell Miner, Moowop, C-Thang, and C-Murder all jump out, approach FBG Duck, and unload 38 shots, 21 of which struck FBG Duck's chest, neck, back, and thighs as he tragically fell to the ground. Witnesses also heard one of the shooters screaming, "Yep," as Duck hit the ground. And after 15 seconds of mayhem on Oak Street, all 4 men jumped back into their cars and returned to Parkway Gardens, leaving Duck to succumb to his injuries.
Erica and Brad, a man and woman, were seriously injured in this shooting, but their friend, a rising Chicago rapper, did not survive.
I heard like a machine gun going off.
Howard Gordon happened to be standing outside his convenience store. That's when those shots echoed. His store surveillance captured the horrific sounds.
I knew for sure this was gunshots.
4 individuals exited those vehicles, 2 from each vehicle, and began firing.
Close to 50 shots fired before the shooters jumped back.
50 shots. So, yeah, that's crazy. So we're gonna leave it at that, y'all. I hate to see. We're gonna leave it at that. Let me see, right? Let me see. I hate to see. I hate to see their night crew. I don't know if that's in reference to, but tell me what that's in reference to. But other than that, we're gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for tapping in and hanging with me for as long as y'all did. I didn't even expect to be on here that long, but it was good. It was good stuff to watch. So we're gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for tapping in. I'm out. My name is Johnny.